Hey guys, it's Liv here, and in today's video, we're going to be using a Flutter Mane team since this mod recently just got banned to Ubers, and we had to celebrate it in style. As a fellow Ubers player myself, I want to bring this team to light and show you guys that Flutter Mane will still be good in Ubers. So if you enjoy, of course, leave a like on the video and subscribe for more. Comment your thoughts down below, and with that said, I do have a quick plug here real quick, and more than anything, even if you don't subscribe, even if you don't, comment down below or whatever. The only thing that I'm linking down below today, as far as personal links, is going to be a link to a Pokemon Draft League server. This is named the Bandless Battlers League. It is a league I run myself, and if you are a fan of the Ubers tier, I could not recommend this enough. We're hosting our inaugural Generation 9 tournament, which is going to be in the Natdex Draft tier. For anyone who has never done a Draft League before, basically, you take a few different points. I believe our budget is 120 for this, or it might be a little higher. And we're going to be drafting 8 to 9 different Pokemon in round robin style. And you're going to get a couple different Ubers for each team. So there's no team that's going to have 6 or 7 different Ubers. They'll be pretty well balanced. I've helped with the tiering as well as 8 other people who are fairly confident as far as their Uber skill. And I think it'll be a pretty fun event to kick off the generation. So if you want to sign up down below, the signups end on Friday at end of Friday PST, and the draft will start on Saturday. This will be a couple month tournament, a couple games a week, etc. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys sign up. We are already at about 70-ish signups, and I would love to see some of you guys show up for this. Sorry for the plug. I know a lot of you guys are here for the Wi-Fi battle, but for anyone clicking on this, I'm sure you're at least somewhat interested in the Ubers tier. So I wanted to throw that out there for anyone, especially if you want to get some testing in with the Natdex. With that said though, for an Ubers game, of course, we do need our box art legend. Koraidon is here with a choice scarf. This is meant to outpace other Koraidons and Miraidons, with Dragonclaw being the stab of choice here that you're probably clicking the most. Collision Course is great for any sort of super effective matchups, and Flare Blitz, especially in tandem with Auric Hulk Impulse, is able to take advantage of your Sun Boost. We have Terrestrial Fire on this build, and I think that this will probably be one of our 2 most likely Terrestrial candidates this match. U-Turn's great for initiative, and it helps us bring in our Flutter Mane, the Mon of choice this week, though I will say we might not necessarily pivot directly into that, just because this is a much faster pivot, though it could take advantage of certain situations such as an opponent maybe hard swapping around Koraidon, and then we can keep initiative that way. Next up though, we do have Miraidon. I decided to bring both in this team because Miraidon is more helpful with one of our other Pokemon on the team, but this is also a pretty useful Pokemon for Koraidon and also for Flutter Mane if nothing else. Another aggressive dragon here, which means that once Flutter Mane enters the field, we can pressure different dragons with all 3 of these Pokemon, which is great because most likely Miraidon and Koraidon will be coming to the game from my opponent's end, which is Burigo, and those also do speed type Flutter Mane, and they can potentially Terrestrial into a type that is very terrifying for Flutter Mane matchup, so I don't even want to worry about that. So this Mon also does function as another pivot here. Overheat's great for potential steel types in tandem with Koraidon, especially since that does set the sun, and these 2 do form a sort of destructive offensive core that can take care of at least any sort of steel or even just overwhelm fairies with their secondary stabs, specifically more so Miraidons, that would otherwise try and sit on my team. Next up though, we do have the Mon of the Hour, Flutter Mane, with the Life Orb Photosynthesis, with Taunt, Pain Split, Shadow Ball, and Moonblast. Truthfully, in Ubers, you only need the dual stab, and with Terrestrial Fairy, which this is most likely our Terrestrial Mon, you could shut down a lot of teams with this. Terrestrial Fairy, of course, does remove your weakness to Ghost, which is great for other Flutter Mane matchups, since you're not actually weak to Fairy. So, in terms of Flutter Mane mirrors, this is the stab of choice that I would Terrestrial into, in my opinion. With Taunt, you're able to shut down a lot of other defensive options, might try and Pain Split you, or try and just go for any sort of setup to get around you, and Pain Split's great for a lot of the bulky Mons that Ubers does present us with, since a lot of Pokemon do break 100 base HP, and you can recover up your HP to pretty much full with this. With Iron Bundle up next, this is the Mon that I was talking about that does take advantage of Miraidon. With Quark Drive, we're able to gain a speed boost, which is very useful in terms of outpacing other Scarfishes in the tier. Freeze Dry and Hydro Pump are amazing for most Mons. Encore is great to sort of lock other hazard Pokemon into their hazards and then try and set up with something else, or even just take advantage of other Pokemon and force them into struggle stall with Taunt plus Encore from Iron Bundle. So I do think this is a pretty decent option. We did opt for no flip turn on this set, which just came with the paste, to be honest. By the way, I forgot to mention, I got this paste from Smogon Forum through the user Aberforth. Link to that, of course, will be down below for anyone who is interested. But I just figured I would mention, of course, this team does opt for no flip turn, which I think is fine. We have enough momentum coming from the box arts, so it's not a huge deal. We have Glimmora up next. This is a Hazard Lead. Hazard Leads are amazing in Ubers. Even with the Boots meta, these have been designed to just hazard stack the opponents, because a lot of Ubers don't typically like to run boots. It's at least less common of an item, and it punishes a lot of those box arts really quickly. With spikes and stealth rocks, we're able to wear down teams very fast, and with toxic as well, there's not a lot of viable poisons and steals currently in this format, albeit maybe through Terrestrial, but not naturally. So being able to just toxic a lot of the really threatening Pokemon will be very useful, and Explosion's great to just get out of the field as quickly as possible. Finally, though, we do have Bandit Qianpao with Sucker Punch, Ruination, Icicle Crash, and Ice Shard. Ice Shard and Sucker Punch are great priority options, especially for other dragons and Flutter Mane, respectively. Icicle Crash is a great spammable stab of choice, with two of the only actual box art legends being Ice, of course. And, Ice Weak, I should say, of course. And then Ruination is great just to break through any sort of mon that would otherwise wall your dual stab. It does 50%. It's basically Nature's Madness, so it'll do half of the current health every single time. So it's a great option for stall breaking. With that said, let's get right into the battle. Peace out, guys. So Flutter Mane just got banned to Ubers, and we're here today taking on Burigo, my BBL mod, fellow Ubers fan. And speaking of, link down below if you guys are looking to sign up for an Ubers tour. 2 days left for signups. It is an Ubers Draft League tour. I do a ton of drafts on the channel, but basically you pick mons and counter team them, and you get to use a lot of mons like we're using today. And honestly, it should be pretty fun. But this is going to be our first Ubers battle on the channel. For any longtime viewers, you'll know I am an absolute massive Ubers fanatic, and this is quite literally my first game of the gen. Shout out to Harris, he found me this team that the Aberforth put on the Smogon forums. Aberforth, of course, built the team. I probably mentioned it in my builder already, but shout outs, of course, to Aberforth for building a team. I know he's a decent Uber sweat, but yeah, no, I'm a huge Ubers fan. I love the tier, and I'm so excited to get to try it. I literally waited specifically until we got our first wave of bans, because when I did day one, I knew Flutter Mane would get the ban, and I'm a huge Flutter Mane fan, and I'm a huge Ubers fan. So I wanted to save my first Ubers game for this channel, and I'm so glad I get to battle Burigo, who I know also really loves the format. But good luck, have fun at Burigo, though. This should be an awesome game, to be honest. I'm so looking forward to it. As far as Miraidon with Hadron Engine goes, this should be a little bit annoying, to be fair, depending on if Iron Hands ends up coming out, because Iron Hands could be a decent breaker for my team. But we're going to regardless set up the spikes here. Actually, let me double check Burigo's team real quick. So yeah, we're gonna set up spikes because this whole team should be grounded. Obviously boots could be a bit annoying, but at the same time though, I would rather get up these spikes and just make sure that you scout for boots, as it's definitely an item we do need to prep for. So the electric drift goes off, and at the very least for Burigo, thankfully, this does get around the toxic debris. So good lead on Burigo's end for sure. It's a way to avoid T-spikes from him, from myself. And for his team, of course. What I think I might do, I think from here, I'm going to actually go into, I don't know, because we can't really verify damage off of this, because, I mean, we're not really that bulky. I mean, we're HP invested, but we're not, like, that bulky. So I don't really want to go into my own Miraidon in case if, because I was going to try and preserve this to get up a T-spike later on. But I don't know if I need to. I think I'm going to actually try it. I'm going to be a little bit risky here. I'm going to go into my own Miraidon, and if Burigo's specs, we can benefit off that. If not, I could still take advantage of his own for my Iron Bundle speed boost later, so I'm not too concerned here. And truthfully, I would rather keep around Koraidon anyway to set up the, at the very least, the, forgetting the Orichalcum Pulse for Flutter Mane. So I care more about that anyway. We do, of course, take this hit pretty well. And, okay, so I'm kind of inclined to believe that this is specs. This did way too much damage for a 4 times resisted hit. My opponent's probably from here going to bring in, if I had to guess, it's going to be the dog, just purely because the dragon switch in. But I'm not entirely sure. He could bring in Claude, to be fair. I think what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go for the Draco, and if Claude comes in, great. If the dog comes in, I'm just going to Volt Switch on it later on, and that should still do a ton of damage, if nothing else. Iron Hands comes out. Okay, so this is fine for me. I'm curious on what the item is, though, because Iron Hands has a ton of viable items. This could be, like, Banded. This could be Booster Energy, too. This could even be, like, some sort of Assault Vest or Leftover set. Ooh, that screams AV, to be honest. This is way too bulky to not... Like, I know that, to be fair, like, AV makes his mon kind of bulky, but the fact that this took that hit as, like, a 3-hit KO, basically, with, like, the very low speed F set that it naturally has, that screams AV to me. From here, we're going to definitely pivot out. I think I'm going to bring in my... Oh, shit. Burigo's definitely making a double here. Probably into Claude, to be honest. No, into Miraidon. Ooh, okay. So this is... I'll take this for sure. Now that we've seen Miraidon come back in, it screams specs to me, to be honest. I can't really verify anything else, especially with the fact that he doubled it back in. I'm going to switch out here, and I'm going to bring in Koraidon, and I'm going to go for the Dragon Claw. Or, actually, I could bring in... I could bring in Flutter. No, I'm not gonna bring in Flutter Mane because it's speed tie. I could bring in Bundle actually. Bundle would be pretty decent here, but I don't know if I want to do that just yet because I think that, yeah, I think I'm gonna go into Crydon here, and I'm gonna go for a U-turn actually, because my guess is that my opponent is probably gonna go for a hard swap here, especially seeing the fact that I cannot imagine a world where they're gonna want to drop this too early on. But maybe I'm overthinking this. Maybe I should just go for Dragon Claw. Yeah, I'm just going to go for Dragon Claw, actually. We are Scarf, so we guarantee outpace, and this should absolutely do a ton of damage to Miraidon. It's not super bulky, and just making sure that we can kill this. Beautiful. Okay, so we've taken out already my opponent's option for terrain, which is it's pretty decent. Now I'm the only one that controls the terrain, and I can wait specifically until my opponent's Iron Hands is gone to reset the terrain, so then they don't get an attack boost, which will be really important since my team is definitely much more aggressive HO style. I want to make sure that I'm not really taking any sort of damage that I don't need to. Dash Bun does come in. My guess is that my opponent assumes some Scarf, considering the fact I brought this thing in so freely and knew for a fact to click Dragon Claw here. So with that in mind, I'm going to go into Glimmora here, and I'm going to let this go down. If my opponent decides to attack with a physical move, they'll get T-Spikes up on their side, which will be amazing for me. We've seen so far very few Boots users, and I'll definitely take that. This goes for Wish, actually. Wish is a pretty decent play. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go for a Stealth Rock here, because if my opponent tries to bring this back into Iron Hands, then I can get up Rock Spikes and Toxic Spikes potentially on my opponent, taking me out with a physical attack. And otherwise, though, I mean, I'm pretty set just having Rocks and Spikes up, even if I do lack the T-Spike. Iron Hands does come in here. I'm going to set up another Spike, in all honesty, because the second Spike will honestly be pretty huge. I know I've said honestly a lot. I'm so sorry. But I'm going to set up the Spikes, though. I think Spikes with Rocks and then potentially letting my opponent take me out with a physical attack will be really beneficial for the long term here. And if nothing else, if my opponent, even if they click Volt Switch, it's fine. I get to read around their positioning and bring in my next mon accordingly. So I'm pretty okay with this, and even without T-Spikes, we've gotten up so much hazards, and I don't think my opponent has any removal at all in this build. So I will definitely take that. Burigo does go for Volt here. My guess is that probably Dash Bun is going to come in, if not Valiant. I think Valiant could also come in pretty justifiably here, but I'm not entirely sure which one it will be in particular. Regardless, my opponent's team is super obnoxiously weak to Flutter Mane outside of the Dunsparce here, which will truthfully be like their best check to this mon. So I'll definitely take that. Dunsparce actually comes in. Okay. So I'm really okay with this actually. Dunsparce is kind of a decent threat to my team if nothing else. And being able to pressure this thing with Miraidon or even Crydon, I could do both. I might go into Shampoo actually, because my opponent truthfully doesn't have a great switch into this. I think we're actually going to go into Shampoo here. I could definitely get off a Banded Crash, and that should be amazing for damage. Because if we look at my opponent's Ice Resistance team, of course, we can pull them up real quick for any of the viewers at home. They're obviously, their whole team is Wheat or Neutral Ice. So, yeah, I'm going to go for the Banded Crash here. While I don't think I'm going to keep this mon in, because truthfully, it's going to be obnoxious for the whole game, even just getting some good damage on the Dunsparce, that's the ghost check right there. So we've now enabled for Flutter Mane to honestly be a really obnoxious answer to their whole team. And to be fair, I am banking off of the Terrestrial Fairy on Flutter Mane, but I do still think that, to be fair, it is probably in my best interest to still try and position this in a way where I can win off of Flutter Mane. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into Crydon here, and I'm going to let this thing take a lot of damage, and I'm going to try and go for a Collision Course, I think, is my best option. Well, actually, it's probably in my best interest to click Flare Blitz and just let myself get worn down and then bring in Flutter Mane to wear it on the team from there. Because Flutter Mane should be able to kick teeth in at this point. This thing is really ridiculous offensively, and the fact that we've KO'd their Ghost Switch in is going to be great for us. They're going to go for the Terrestrial here. Terrestrial, what type is this? I'm curious about what type they Terrestrial. Oh, they're Terrestrial Steel. Okay, that's pretty good actually, because we were banded on Champao. So if we stayed in there, truthfully, maybe I should have stayed in. Because if I stayed in there, I could have let Champao go down, and then I could have from there went into Flutter Mane. I will say this does propose another decent issue though, because I need to now take this mon out too, because we're Terrestrial Fairy. I kind of want to click Terrestrial Fire actually, and just let this thing get some good damage off, but I'm not going to. I'm going to click Collision Course actually, seeing the fact that they are Terrestrial Steel. Even if they bring in Claude, I'm fine with this. They're going to go into Dashmon here. That's fine. Maybe I should have clicked Flare Blitz, but I'm not too hurt by this. And I think, truthfully, just making sure we can recover our HP back was pretty fine. From here, I could definitely go right into... I think I'm going to go into Champao. Wow, they actually did some pretty decent damage. This is a fairly Fizz-Def Mon, and I'm kind of shocked. Oh, you know what? I'm really glad actually I didn't click Flare Blitz, because it's hitting me now. This thing has a fire immunity, so I'm really glad I did not trust a fire and Flare Blitz there. I'm going to go into Flutter Mane here, though. Flutter Mane should be pretty decent, and I can threaten out whatever wants to come in here with the Terrestrial option, or even just going for Shadow Ball is probably my best interest, actually, instead of going for Terrestrial Fairy, because I don't think that going for... Yeah, I don't think that going for Terrestrial Fairy is in my best interest here. We're going to see a Wish go off here. That's fine. They're definitely trying to recover up the Iron Valiant at this point. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to go for the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball should be pretty decent. And regardless, I mean, despite the fact that it's not hitting a lot of their team super effective, their whole team is at least neutral to this move. And we are still a fairly decent offensive option with Life Orb. So I can't really think of what they would actually do damage-wise to me, because they didn't get any sort of... They don't have a way to actually set up offensively with this Mon. Burigo outright has no setup options on Dash Bund, and it's not even just the fact of his particular set. The Mon just gets nothing to set up with. That's why I think it's actually really bad. But I will say, decent crowd on check. I'll give it that. Regardless, I'm not sure what they'll switch in here, but the fact they're not Wish passing to Valiant, not into Valiant, into Hands is really huge for me, actually. They're going to Claude. Claude is a little bit annoying, I will say, but it's not a huge deal. It's moments like these where I kind of wish that I had some sort of Terrestrial Ghost here, because I think Terrestrial Ghost just won the game. But I think in hindsight, in a dragon-heavy meta, that it's in my best play always to go for Terrestrial Fairy. We're going to go for... I think I'm going to go for a Taunt here. Actually, do I want to go for Taunt here? Yeah, I think I'm going to go for Taunt. I don't know. I don't want this thing setting up hazards, to be honest. I think it's my big concern. And I can't see a world where this thing actually gets off some good damage on me with Earthquake. Plus, we never really revealed Taunt, but it's such an uncommon move on Flutter Mane in Standard Tiers. No, they predicted a one for EQ. Okay. That's not great. But at the same time, though, I can definitely go for a Pain Split here. And yeah, I can go for a Pain Split here. And Pain Split should put it so then I can still take hits from this thing because of how naturally bulky Clodsire is. And I can from there go for a... Yeah, okay. So I can go for a Shadow Ball here at the very least. And while I will trade at the very... yeah, I'm definitely going to end up having to trade here, which I'm not super happy with. I'm actually going to switch. I'm going to switch into Bundle. Bundle should be able to at least pick off the... It should be able to pick off the Claude. And I can go for a Pain Split actually and Dash Bund, which I think will be more beneficial to my endgame. Plus, they don't really have a great switch into this outside of Iron Hands. So what I'm actually going to do... I'm going to scout, actually. I'm going to scout for Unaware versus the... No, never mind, because they still have... Okay, so I was going to scout for Unaware versus Water Absorb, but I can't really do that anymore because of the fact... Well, they didn't do a lot with Earthquake. I could potentially go for... I'm going to go for Freeze Dry. I think Freeze Dry is my best play. And truthfully, 2 Freeze Dry should do enough. Or even just 1, right? Because they have the Spit F job. Okay, so that's huge. Claude going down is pretty decent. This is another Mon that could have potentially soft-checked Flutter Mane. And from here... Let's see, so I need Valiant, not Valiant, I need Hands Gone for sure. I should be able to clean the team pretty easily though, unless a Burigo has Sneak, so I'm okay with this. What I'm going to do now at this point, I'm going to go for the Pump, because Pump I think will be able to take out Hands at this point, and clearing their Steel type will be huge for my Terrestrial Fairy on the fucking Flutter Mane, okay. So, from here we do see the Iron Hands does take us out. A little unfortunate, but it is what it is. I'm gonna go for... Let's see, what am I gonna do here? Because this Mon is definitely getting pretty annoying. I think I'm gonna have to go for... Miraidon, and I'm gonna have to go for the... I'm gonna go for the Electric Drift, because it's no longer an Electric type, actually, so I can go for this pretty easily. And because of the fact that we have the terrain boosting us, it should be a decent option if nothing else. While I am boosting their attack, I'm fine with this, because they don't have actual recovery, and they lost their ground type, which means that, in general, their whole team should at least be a non-resist to this Pokemon. And unless they have a Scarfer, nothing outpaces this either. So Electric Drift should be pretty decent, and I can pivot on whatever else comes in afterwards, and bring in Flutter Mane. So, this move is going to go off, and we do take out the Iron Hands. I don't know if the crit mattered, I'll be honest, with Terrain Boost, and the fact this is no longer resist. I assume this didn't matter, but if someone was to run the calcs and told me that it did, I wouldn't exactly be too surprised. But it's just, I don't know. It's gonna be a weird one. I don't think it matters for the end game anyway. They would have needed to quite literally get themselves healthy again. This mon. Let's see. Okay. So they are popping Quark Drive, which is going to be for their speed. Oh no, that is terrifying. Okay. So from here, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go for the slow Volt Switch actually, because I need to go for the slow Volt Switch, and I need to bring in Koraidon, because I need to set the sun. With the sun up, I should guarantee outpace this mon. And also with the slow Volt Switch, I can't really think of a set that would actually be able to take advantage of the fact that I'm a special attacker. Realistically, they're probably Sword Stance 3 attacks, and they probably have Sneak on their set for Flutter Mane matchups, because this team is, well, maybe they don't need it. The Dunsparce is a decent check if nothing else. They're gonna go for Moonblast. Oh my god, that did a lot of damage. Okay. That's a little terrifying if nothing else. Okay. So we're gonna go into... I'm gonna go into Qian Pao here. I'm gonna go for a Bandage Shard. I think Bandage Shard's my best play. Damn. That's kind of terrifying, I can't lie. Yeah, okay, so Bandage Shard should be pretty decent if nothing else here. I do need the terrain gone, which is kind of an issue. Maybe I should have went into Koraidon and sacked. But at the same time, I don't know how much it would have mattered. Ugh, okay, this is a little bit terrifying. Because I basically need this move to KO. It does not KO. Okay, they're gonna go for Moonblast here. Unfortunate. Okay. Fuck, maybe I should have sacked this probably. Oh no. Yeah, I think I choked. Oh wait, no, because we're scarfed on this. Oh, thank God. Okay. So I need to think about now, can I KO this? Can I KO this? I definitely misplayed a little bit for sure. Okay. So what I think I'm gonna do, I'm gonna definitely go for the collision course here. For sure, I'm gonna go for a collision course. I cannot imagine a world where this doesn't KO. And with the sun boost now, come on, I need this to take it out. Thank God. Okay. So when the dash button comes in, I need it to basically KO me here. And when it does, I can go for the pain split on that, and then I can go for taunt, and I could stall break it that way. But I do need the HP back for sure. So I'm gonna go for the collision course here, and I'm just gonna let this go down because I kind of need to do it that way. So we're gonna go for the collision course, and I'm just gonna let this thing PP stall me. Truthfully, I think it's my best interest. And they're probably gonna go for wish spam, which is fine. I don't mind it, but I don't care about the trust. I don't care about the speed either with my attack. They're gonna go for player off and take me out. Beautiful. Okay, okay. So I guess my question is, do I care about going for pain split here? I think I could just take this mon out, in all honesty. I can't imagine a world where I don't take this out with Life Orb. And also, I mean, I would win the game because I would get the KO. So I should just go for the Terrestrial Fairy. I'm not even going to try and bullshit around because this thing actually isn't healthy enough for me to reliably go for a Pain Split, in my opinion. And it might just take me out anyway. So we're going to go for Terrestrial Fairy here, and I'm going to claim my KO. I think that's in my best interest. Because I was going to try and play around this a little bit. I know it's a kind of bulky mon, but it's only like 60-ish HP. So even with investment, we wouldn't gain enough back, I think, to take the hit. So I kind of just need to hope this isn't Spadef, which I don't think it is. It's taken my physical hits insanely well, to where I cannot fathom this thing has actual Phys Def. If it does, good play by my opponent, and good bluff for sure. But I do think this is where the game ends, with the Terrestrial Fairy on my Flutter Mane. They're going to go for the Protect here. That's fine. They're trying to definitely take this hit a little bit better, which, to be fair, that's in their best interest for sure. They need to basically get in a scenario where they can try and take this hit as well as possible. And I still don't think it'll work because this mod isn't super Spadef, and we're Life Orb boosted still with Terrestrial Fairy boost. This thing hits like Xerneas levels of hard. So I can't imagine a world where this doesn't die. This isn't a Spadef mon. But if it lived, I would truthfully be very impressed. Okay. So yeah, so Flutter Mane, of course, being the endgame mon, beautiful, beautiful. So I don't have to clickbait by throwing Flutter Mane in my thumbnail. For such a decent Flutter Mane matchup too, well, let me first, they had such a decent matchup against Flutter Mane, and I think even still this mon put in a ton of work, considering they had a Dunsparce, which is probably one of the best Ghost Switches they could have had, that isn't also weak to Fairy. They also had the Terrestrial Steel on an Assault Vest, Iron Hands, So I think even with that in mind, I mean, Flutter Mane still found a way to put in work. But if you want to use this team, link code down below. Welcome to Ubers Flutter Mane. We're very welcome to have you here. And if you're excited for more Ubers content on the channel, leave a like and subscribe. Comment what you want to see next. I'm sure that by the time this goes live, I know OU's already talking about new bans. So make sure, of course, to look forward to those vids as well with the new Mons getting banned. And if you want to join an Ubers tour, Ubers Draft League Tour, pick 8 to 9 Mons with a certain amount of budget. And I would love to have you there. We're looking for signups for the next couple of days for sure. And with that said, I will see you guys later. Oh wait, shout out to channel members, of course, Josh Gale, Player, Mia, and Zeke0. Your support is greatly appreciated. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Until then, peace out, guys.